Dr. Legault here in GE683, getting ready to take a look at and talk about week 7 and things coming up a little bit. One thing for sure I still want to talk about yet one more time is the PLP, because I must be doing an awful, horrible job of describing what I'm expecting you to do with the PLP, because some of you are just making up questions, like pulling them out of thin air and then not really able to follow through with the expectations that you are then going to summarize, and you are then going to share your reflection or make a connection to it and say this is why or how it's pertinent. Okay, so I guess I'm going to do an example for you and just show, as I'm looking at the screen here for week 7, of what I want you to do. Okay, so if you go down to the PLP for week 7, there's a little table, and that table says select any of the subtopics of the textbook chapter, or you could choose a call to replace adjuncts with tenure track faculty. That's this video right here. Maybe that's one of your 3 topics. Or you could choose any of the legal issues outlined in the higher education article. Okay, well, what's that all about? Well, I put a link to a higher education article here. It's called Legal Issues, and if you actually click on that link, it'll take you to Inside Higher Ed, and there's a whole list of current articles regarding legal issues in higher education. Okay, so I just gave you a whole bunch of options. Now it's going to be chapter 6. So let me open to chapter 6. What are my possible topics? I'm not just going to make something up. I'm going to look at the book. Chapter 6 says the courts and higher education. And then as I look at my book, I know you can't see it because my stupid background messes with everything. There's a whole bunch of subtopics in the book. There's a subtopic called the legal system in the United States. There's a subtopic called faculty employment issues. There's a subtopic called legal issues and board governance. All of these are subtopics of chapter 6. So I count like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 main subtopics in chapter 6. So I could pick from those 7 subtopics. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'm going to pick faculty employment issues. And this is why. This is why I'm kind of interested in this. Or I could say, well, I want to pick that video that was in the course. That was one of the options that I could pick. Or you could say, I'm going to go to the Inside Higher Ed page here, and I'm going to pick among the legal issues that are here, okay? You're not going to just make up a question. You're going to pick from the smorgasbord of topics that are there for you to pick from each week. All right, now when you know that, if you go back and you read the expectations for the PLP, it should make a lot more sense, right? So what are you going to do? Number 1, summarize the key points of what you've read or viewed about your selected theme. 2, explain how this knowledge is useful to you in your higher education journey. Some of you are doing the first and not the second, okay? Some of you still are not, and again, this is on me. I mean, I must not be doing a good enough job explaining. You're not just supposed to make up questions to answer, okay? You're supposed to pick from the topics that I'm giving you to choose from. So those choices could be subtopics from the book. It could be the resources that I've provided for you in the week. I want you to engage with the content. Okay, hopefully it is clear now. And if it's still not clear, and if you're mad at me because I'm not giving you full points, that's okay. You can be mad. Then just, call me, text me, shoot me an email, a carrier pigeon or something and say, why am I still not getting full points? I'm totally cool with explaining my rationale for things, okay? So that being said, then as we go into week 7, this time you actually may want to use the higher ed article to help you with this. And that article, the higher ed link, is probably not going to be enough. You're probably going to have to do a little bit more legwork and a little bit more research to fully answer the question. Okay, but it's going to be about picking a case in the courts and adding in your thoughts and the resolution and everything else about it. So that's going to be the discussion this week. Now, when it comes to major assignments, the key assessments, there's one coming up week 9. Still a couple weeks out yet. That one's the accreditation memo. And just if some of you are, prone to working ahead and you want to take a look and see what that's all about. So it's pretty self-explanatory. The only thing that might not be self-explanatory is the Mythic University online memo. All that is that's like an example, or it talks you through format of what a memo looks like. So if you're saying, well, what are you looking for, Dr. Legro? What was this memo going to be? That just kind of spells out and explains the parts of a memo, how it's written, the tone, and all of that other stuff. Okay. So that's going to be coming week 9. You may want to start thinking about that. And do not forget that you, towards the end of the course, do have your day in the life interview. So that's something that you should already have thought of or be very close to thinking of who it is that you're going to interview and get your interview questions going. There's a lot of ways that you can present that. If you have questions, or I would suggest, if it's not required, I don't recall if it's required. It's been a while since I taught this, that I look over or give you feedback on your interview questions before you go into the interview. That'll help shape the results that you get. Honestly, really, this one's an easy assignment, right? Because you get the easy part. You get to sit back and ask the questions and interview. But then you're going to utilize the feedback or the responses that you get. I would suggest recording the interview, probably Zoom, right? Or whatever tool you have available to you. So that's where we're going. All right. That's coming up towards the end. So hopefully some of those things help. That'll resonate a little bit, and I'm not as confusing or unclear, I guess, maybe about what I was expecting for PLPs. Okay. All right. In that case, thanks for listening, and we will see you on the forums.